A brand new redesigned Tesla Model Y Juniper is coming very soon, but the all-new Model 3 is already here. Model Y boasts a full-on hatchback and tons of cargo space, but the Model 3 has cooled seats, a rear display, and an all-new interior. If you're looking to buy a Tesla in 2024, what do you go with? Model 3 or Model Y? These Tesla models have never been more different than they are right now in 2024, and now more than ever, there are tons of things to consider. So as someone who has owned both the Model Y and Model 3, who has driven the new Model 3 extensively and still owns the Model Y, let me break down the top 10 things you need to know about Model Y versus Model 3 in 2024, because the differences are striking here. You don't want to make a mistake. And also, I'm just gonna tell you right now, this video is gonna be a little controversial and get some of you really mad, so apologies in advance. But if you disagree, feel free to drop a comment down below and let me know. And a huge thanks to Babbel for sponsoring this video. So my whole point in this video is not to bore you or go on and on different things, but just to get to the facts, break this thing down in a couple of different categories to consider, and also, again, as someone who currently owns an older Model 3, owns a Model Y, has driven the new Model 3, give you my perspective, an owner's perspective on things to look out for and things I wish I knew before I bought one of these vehicles. Okay, so very first thing we should consider, of course, is price, because I think for most people, this is one of, if not the most important things to consider when you're looking to buy a Tesla. And the first thing I'd recommend you do is to head on to Tesla's website and turn off the little thing by default that shows you estimated gas savings and federal incentives. Turn that off just to get a really good idea of the base MSRP price, because there's a pretty big difference here between Model Y and Model 3. Looking at just MSRP pricing here, the Model 3 starts at around $39-ish thousand, just under, while the Model Y starts at under or about, again, $45,000, which is what, if I can do math here really quickly, a $6,000 difference, which is not at all insignificant. And yeah, that's something to consider. You might think that's pretty cut and dry. $6,000 difference between Model 3 and Model Y. Obviously, Model 3 is the much cheaper, more affordable, economical way to go, which is kind of true, but mostly not. Now, as much as I love talking Tesla on this channel, I really want to broaden my language these days. And actually, I told you guys a couple of months ago that I was trying to get back into Spanish and brush off my rusty skills from college with the help of Babbel, that makes learning about different languages fun, easy, interactive, and I'm happy to report that things a couple of months later are going well. Babbel lo hace divertido. Babbel is one of the top language learning apps in the world, and it makes it incredibly easy, interactive, and honestly just plain fun to learn new languages. You can do it anytime, anywhere, right from your phone, and I've loved challenging myself over the last couple of months, and honestly, it's been nice to sort of put my brain to work in a different way every single day. And again, honestly, not only is it rewarding, but it's kind of fun. Babbel is also scientifically proven by researchers at major institutions to help you start learning a language in 3 weeks. And these lessons, I might add, are actually crafted and sort of put together by real language teachers. Personally, I really appreciated that these lessons are focused on helping you have practical conversations. You really get to practice this stuff and focus on preparing you to use your new language skills in the real world. For me, this just means I get to practice and really then have more confidence when I use my skills in the real world. Like, ¿Dónde está el baño? Or ¿Me trae la cuenta? Babbel offers a 20-day money-back guarantee, so you can be confident in your purchase, and has a few different subscription offerings to choose from, including a lifetime subscription. So if you want to learn more about Babbel and start learning a new language today and really get this practice and get your brain working, which I highly recommend you do, it's a lot of fun, you can hit the link right down below to learn more, and if you go through my special link, you can get 60% off your subscription. So again, learn more, leave a comment down below on what language you want to start learning, and yeah, check out my link down below and get 60% off your subscription to Babbel today. The big advantage the Model Y has, at least in most cases, is the federal tax credit. And I'll put a link to the IRS qualifications down below in the guidelines here, but assuming you qualify, which most people will, you can basically take $7,500 right off the price of the Model Y at any trim level because it qualifies for the full tax credit that you can take as a point of sale discount. And when you factor that into the equation, everything here changes. Now that base Model Y goes from $45,000 down to $37,490, making it now $1,500 cheaper than the base Model 3. Obviously, the biggest thing to consider here is if you're eligible or not for that federal tax credit, because if you are, We're talking almost an $8,000 swing here in pricing, which is something you definitely have to consider. And again, as it stands as of filming, every Model Y variant is going to be fully eligible for the $7,500 federal tax credit, while on the Model 3 side, only the performance variant is eligible to get that tax credit. So if you're looking at the base Model 3, the cheapest model, or the long-range offering, they do not qualify. Now, there are two caveats here. One is that there are, of course, state incentives, local incentives, stuff like that, so be sure to look into that depending on where you live. And also, the other loophole here is that if you lease a Model 3, you will be able to take advantage of that federal tax credit, as there's a loophole there that passes it through. The only savings you're going to take advantage of on Model 3 side would be if you lease or if you go with the performance model. Otherwise, Model Y is going to be cheaper like every part of the day. And that is definitely not a saying, but you get what I mean. Of course, the next thing we've got to talk about is range. And let me tell you this just before we get into the whole discussion. I think that oftentimes when you make the very first switch from a gas car to an electric car, you're very concerned, I think rightfully so, about range. You're very concerned about range anxiety and running out of battery, and you're concerned you're not going to have enough. And while the general rule of thumb has been, and I think still is, to buy as much range or buy the biggest battery you can afford and that fits your budget, every Tesla model is going to give you an adequate amount of range. Even the base Model 3 is going to give you a good amount of range. And of course, this is going to factor in based off of your driving habits and how far you commute and your home charging situation. But assuming all that is relatively standard, every model is going to be fine. So while you probably should try to get the biggest battery you can afford, if you don't drive a whole lot, or, of course, you can just easily charge at home with a good fast charger, don't think you have to immediately exclude the base model because it doesn't have as much range as you think you may need. But of course, if you are looking for the most range on either a Model 3 or Model Y, your choice is going to be the Model 3 long range with an EPA estimate of 341 miles of range on a full 100% battery charge. On the Model Y side, the longest range you can get is actually a brand new offering. It's the base Model Y long-range rear-wheel drive, packing 320 miles of range. There's a 20-mile difference there in terms of range. Of course, there's a lot of factors that play into this: your speed, elevation, energy consumption, all those things. But just looking at EPA estimated range, if you're looking for the most range, that's going to be the Model 3 long range. Next up, let's talk performance. Now, because these are all electric vehicles and because they're Teslas, they all are going to give you that throw you back in your seat feeling of that electric vehicle instant torque. They're all super fun to drive. They're all peppy and speedy and fast. They're all great. But if you want the best performance you can get and you really want to feel the power of those electric motors, then that's going to be the Model 3 Performance, because not only does it have a sub 3 second 0 to 60 time, but it also has some special new features you're just not going to get in the Model Y equivalent. It's things like an adaptive suspension, the all-new carbon fiber interior, and also, of course, the all-new performance seats only in the Model S Plaid and the Model 3 Performance. So if you are a fan of those new seats and you want some extra goodies for your higher-end performance Tesla, Model 3 is going to be the way to go over Model Y. Model Y, of course, Model Y Performance is no slouch, but Model 3 Performance has a beat by like every single metric. Next up, let's talk about storage space and versatility, because this is where the Model Y really shines. I can tell you, as someone who owns a Model Y, who has driven a Model Y for 2 years, this is where the Model Y is just amazing, because not only do you get a comfortable cabin and you get all the technology and the nice interior and all that, but just having the extra storage space and versatility here is really, really nice. Here's what you need to know. You get a big frunk, you get a big trunk, you get the sub-trunk, and really you get the versatility of the full hatchback experience here. Really nice for loading in people or junk or stuff or whatever it is just nice. You get a little bit of extra storage space in the Model Y, including some extra cubbies you don't get on the Model 3. And the big thing for me that I liked on Model Y was that you sit a little bit higher off the ground. It feels like a bit of a bigger, more spacious car. And then just loading things in the vehicle are much easier than the Model 3, mainly due to that hatchback. Best example I can give is a stroller. Having to maneuver the stroller around on its own can be difficult for me, but then loading it into the car is very easy in the Model Y. I just break it down, throw it in, and I'm good to go. but on the Model 3, I always struggled to have to get it in just right because oftentimes the trunk just wouldn't close because the stroller was just too big unless I got it just in the sweet spot, which was never an issue on the Model Y. So I will say that if you're hauling around a lot of people and pets and you just want more space and you want to easily just throw a bunch of stuff in your car and go, the Model Y in terms of storage and versatility definitely has the edge over the Model 3. Not to say the Model 3 can't hold stuff because you get a lot of space there, but Model Y is going to be way better in that department. But while the Model Y shines in storage and versatility, Model 3 is going to shine when it comes to creature comforts. Now, this is not to say that the Model Y is an uncomfortable car, or it's noisy, or it's not fun to drive, and all that stuff. But with that said, Model 3, in terms of creature comforts, you just get more. This is where the refresh really shines. On Model 3, it's better in almost every way. You've got an improved suspension system. You've got thicker glass for a physically quieter cabin with less road noise, if I can say that, coming in. You've got the new interior dashboard with the wraparound RGB ambient lighting. You've got cooled ventilated seats, which, trust me, is really, really nice. You've got a brighter, faster screen. You've got a rear screen. You've got a better sound system. Just overall, you've got a refined design and interior on Model 3 that the Model Y is definitely lacking. And when you go in the Model 3 and you see all these creature comforts, in my opinion, it's really, really nice and just feels more like a luxurious, tech-packed, better car for 2024. When you step into a Model Y, it's a nice car, but it feels a little bit dated, especially that wood trim, where the Model 3, it definitely feels like this is Tesla's best foot forward. Though with that said, I do want to make one point very clear here, and that is technically speaking, in terms of autopilot and full self-driving supervised and all the techie stuff of the vehicle, Model 3 and Model Y are exactly the same. There is no advantage to going new Model 3 over current Model Y. They both have the same hardware 4-camera system. They've got the same Ryzen processor powering all the apps. Things may change in 6 months or 12 months from now, but as of right now in 2024, technically speaking, they're the exact same. So don't think that if you go Model Y, you're missing out on features, because feature-wise, Model 3 and Model Y running off the same computers, same cameras, same stuff. Though with that said, there are some drawbacks to the new Model 3 that you might not like, even if it checks all the other boxes for you. One is design. Some people just don't like the way it looks, which I get it, but also that's just the new design language Tesla's going with, so sort of tough luck if you don't like it, because Tesla's going to continue with it. And also the bigger deal here that Tesla's also pushing is sort of the stockless future, where there are no stalks on either side of the wheel. All of those controls have moved into physical buttons on the wheel, and you don't get a choice on whether you get to have it one way or the other. That's just what it is. Now, if that's a deal breaker for you, then you'll be happy, because the Model Y, as of filming, at least for the foreseeable couple of months, still is going to retain those stalks and the older wheel. So that is going to be what the Model Y has over the Model 3. Now, I personally like this new system. I think the stockless stuff makes sense. Takes a little getting used to, but you do get used to it. But if you absolutely hate it and despise it, there is no option to sort of retrofit an old version, at least not as of yet. There's some third parties working on it, but from Tesla, you have to use what they've got. If you don't like stockless, then go Model Y. Okay, now is the time to choose sort of a winner here and give you my direction. I'm gonna give you like 3 really clear answers here depending on your priorities. If your priority is cost, you are looking for the most value for the dollar, the best bang for buck, you want the cheapest Tesla, Model Y is going to win, because if you qualify for the federal tax credit, you just can't discount a nearly $8,000 savings you can take off of the vehicle. So if you're looking for the best option in terms of that, that's definitely going to be the way to go. Little caveat there, little asterisk though, is that the current Model 3 lease deals for the base model, I think are like a couple thousand down for $300 a month. So if you are into leasing, which I know everyone not always is, but if you are, definitely consider that, because it's a really good deal. If you really care about storage and versatility, you just want to throw stuff in your Tesla and go, you don't want to play Tetris and have to figure out what's going to fit where, you want the most versatility and the most storage, then Model Y, of course, is going to be the way to go, because you're just not going to beat the extra storage space and functionality. But if you're looking for the most luxurious Tesla experience, if you're looking for the experience that is the most premium, that's got sort of the more elevated experience, and if you're looking for the most 2024 vehicle, In that sense, I would go Model 3. This is sort of Tesla's best foot forward. This is their most sleek and modern experience. For better or worse, the stockless design is where they are going, and you're getting a much more refreshed design on the inside and outside on the Model 3 than you get on Model Y. If I was to be cross-shopping these vehicles right now, I would probably go Model 3. As a techie person, as someone who appreciates more comfort and more luxury, I'd go Model 3. And also, if I was looking at a performance variant, I would go Model 3 performance over Model Y performance 9 times out of 10. Yes, you are sacrificing a little bit of that storage and versatility, but all of the other performance creature comforts, the performance seats, the new suspension, the carbon fiber interior, Model 3 performance is amazing, and that's the route I would go. I know it's a little bit of a hot take, but those are my thoughts. But now, of course, it's your turn. I want to know down below, where am I wrong? Model 3 versus Model Y in 2024, which vehicle would you choose? What is most important to you? Let me know down below. And also, please, if you own one of these vehicles, either of them, let me know down below why you chose to go with what you chose to go with, and also what advice you'd have to a potential owner cross-shopping these vehicles. Which way should they go? Let me know some thoughts down below. And a huge thanks to Babbel for sponsoring this video. You can hit the link right down below to learn more. And if you go through my special link, you can get 60% off your subscription. As always, I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you so much for your support. And of course, if you want to have a chance to win an Amazon gift card for free, all you've got to do is 3 simple things. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, drop a comment down below, then in your comment, throw an emoji in there. Any emoji you want to do, smiley face, car emoji, phone emoji, whatever it is, drop an emoji down below to let me know you made it to the very end of the video, and I'll pick a winner at random in a couple of days. As always, I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you so much for your support. I am Robert Rosenfeld, and I will see you all in the next one.